I'm Ashton Knatz. I know it might be difficult, but try to imagine the following scenario. You're staying with your family when all of a sudden you're surrounded by people that you don't know. You're taken away from your family and placed onto a boat and taken to a faraway land. When you arrive at this land, you are surrounded by people that don't speak the same language as you, and you are kept in a small enclosure roughly the size of a bathtub. You are forced to do performances for small rations of food, and you have no means of communication, no way of getting out, and you are very confused. While this sounds like something out of a horror movie, it's actually quite common treatment for some of the animals at one of America's most beloved theme parks, SeaWorld. SeaWorld has recently come under fire for its unethical treatment of killer whales in captivity. And while some people argue that SeaWorld should be kept open because of its mission to help rehabilitate animals, SeaWorld has ultimately done more harm than good in its unethical treatment of killer whales. A solution to this problem would be shutting SeaWorld down and placing the living killer whales in sanctuaries where they can live out the rest of their lives. In this speech, I aim to help you understand why SeaWorld must be shut down through information on SeaWorld and killer whales, incidents that have occurred with killer whales, and some opposition against my argument. In the words of the SeaWorld Entertainment website, SeaWorld is a leading theme park and entertainment company that aims to provide experiences that matter, inspiring guests to protect marine life. SeaWorld's mission is to rescue and rehabilitate marine animals that have become injured, ill, orphaned, or abandoned with the goal of releasing them back into the wild. This website states that in the past 50 years, SeaWorld has rescued over 33,000 animals. And while this makes it seem like SeaWorld's mission is wonderful, its treatment of its main attraction, its killer whales, has not been so wonderful. According to National Geographic, killer whales are the largest members of the dolphin family. They can live up to 80 years in the wild and are powerful carnivorous predators. They are majestic, intelligent, and emotional animals. According to the Whale and Dolphin Conservation, SeaWorld has captured roughly 166 killer whales since 1961. SeaWorld currently holds 21 killer whales in its 3 theme parks across America, and over 45 have died in these theme parks, some of which include Kotar, who died at SeaWorld San Antonio after his head was closed in a pool gate and it crushed his skull. Kasaka, who suffered from incurable pneumonia for 9 years before being euthanized in 2017. And then this next slide has a little bit of blood, so if you don't like that, I would close your eyes. Kandu 5, who became aggressive with another killer whale and was rammed into the side of a wall. She severed her jaw artery and bled out for 45 minutes before dying. And this information was retrieved from orcaaware.com. Based on these experiences, it is painfully obvious that SeaWorld is detrimental to the health and well-being of killer whales. Many killer whales have become injured or engaged in acts of aggression not normally seen in the wild, whether it's with killer whales or humans. An example of aggression towards humans is seen in Tilikum, who is a performing killer whale that killed 3 people while in captivity. According to the 2013 anti-SeaWorld documentary Blackfish, Tilikum's story involves his treatment in captivity and how he killed 3 people, one of which was a SeaWorld trainer, Dawn Brancheau. Tilikum killed Dawn Brancheau during a Dine with Shamu performance in front of spectators. Her death sparked national outrage and mourning and brought awareness to the unethical treatment of killer whales in captivity. In response to SeaWorld's unethical treatment, people have begun to boycott SeaWorld in hopes of getting SeaWorld to shut down. According to a CNN article about primatologist Jane Goodall's comments about SeaWorld, SeaWorld's stock has declined a whopping 48% since Blackfish's release in 2013. Goodall states, SeaWorld should definitely be closed down. The capture and confinement is cruel, and killer whales have emotions like ours. For this reason, shutting down SeaWorld would be an effective solution to eliminating the unethical treatment of killer whales. The remaining killer whales could be transported to sanctuaries across the world where they could live out their lives and engage in natural behaviors like forming pods and hunting. And while many people have joined in the fight to shut SeaWorld down, several others still defend SeaWorld's mission of rescuing and rehabilitating animals. While it might be beneficial to take in a small animal, like a turtle with a bottle ring around its neck, take off the ring, rehabilitate it for a very short while, and release it back into the wild, in terms of larger animals that couldn't be released back into the wild, like killer whales or dolphins, it might just be best to leave the animals to die. And while this sounds horrible, it's not natural to impede on the natural circle of life. At SeaWorld, the killer whales are in a state in which they are neither alive nor dead. Their small enclosures, separation from their families, and forced performances prove that a life at SeaWorld is worse than being dead. Now, I love animals, I love marine life, and I think everybody should get the chance to see them, but I know that the lives of killer whales and living healthily and in the wild is more important. For this reason, shutting SeaWorld down and transporting the killer whales to a sanctuary would be the most effective. And while the ideal situation would be transporting killer whales back into the wild, keeping them in captivity for so long robs them of their natural behaviors, so it's impossible to do this. So in this speech, I hope that I've informed you about the unethical treatment of killer whales that SeaWorld has done in the past. And the next time that you think about SeaWorld, please remember the lives of killer whales and what has happened to them.